The Doran Empire stretched across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. For 2,000 years, they had conquered world after world, bringing countless species under their rule. Their warships were feared everywhere, and their soldiers had never known defeat. On the command deck of the Imperial flagship Eternal Dominance, Emperor Tahoe studied a holographic display of a small blue planet. "So this is Earth," he said, his long fingers moving through the projection. "Primitive but resource-rich." His intelligence director, Wujin, nodded respectfully. "Our scout ships report they have basic spaceflight, but nothing beyond their own moon. They fight among themselves constantly. They will be easy to conquer." Emperor Tahoe smiled. "Another jewel for our collection." He turned to the stern-faced military commander at his side. "Admiral Junot, prepare the 7th Armada. 300 ships should be more than enough for these humans." Admiral Junot bowed deeply. "It will be done, Your Magnificence. We shall claim Earth within 7 rotations." The admiral left to prepare his fleet, proud to lead such an important mission. The 7th Armada was the pride of the Imperial forces, with warships that could destroy entire cities from orbit. No pre-FTL civilization had ever withstood their might. What the Dorans didn't know was that 58 years earlier, one of their scout ships had crashed in a remote forest on Earth. The wreckage had been recovered by human scientists who spent decades studying the advanced technology. When they detected more alien ships watching Earth from hiding, humans realized they weren't alone, and that they might be in danger. Instead of fighting each other, the nations of Earth made a secret pact. They would appear divided and primitive to any watching eyes, but behind this mask, they would prepare. General Hunjin stood in the hidden command center beneath Mount Fuji, watching as computers tracked the approaching Doran fleet. "They're coming exactly as we predicted," she said to the room of officers from every major nation. 300 ships, standard conquest pattern. "Are we ready?" asked her second-in-command, Captain Doyan. General Hunjin nodded. "Defense platforms are in position but still cloaked. All weapon systems are charged. Ground forces are on standby." She looked at the worried faces around her. "We've trained for this day for 20 years. Today humanity stands together." In space, the Doran fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. Admiral Junho looked at the small blue planet on his view screen and felt almost disappointed. This would be too easy. "Begin standard approach," he ordered. "Scan for military installations and communication centers." His crew worked efficiently, cataloging Earth's visible defenses. "Sir, they appear to have primitive satellite systems and some basic orbital platforms," reported Officer Minja. "Nothing that poses any threat to our ships. Their militaries are scattered and using chemical propellants and basic explosives," added Weapons Officer Juwu. "They haven't even developed basic energy weapons." Admiral Chunho leaned back in his command chair. "Send the standard pre-conquest message. Let them know their new masters have arrived." Throughout Earth, communication systems suddenly broadcast the same message in all languages. "People of Earth, your planet now belongs to the Doran Empire. Surrender all military control and prepare for occupation. Resistance will result in orbital bombardment of major population centers." In the hidden command center, General Hunjin watched the message play out. "Right on schedule," she said. "Activate Phase 1. Across Earth, government leaders began broadcasting panicked, conflicting messages. Some pleaded for peace. Others made angry threats. Military forces appeared to scramble in disorganized patterns. To watching Doran eyes, Earth seemed to be falling into chaos. "Look at them." Admiral Chunho laughed. "They can't even agree on a response." "Shall we begin the demonstration strike?" asked Minja. "Yes. Target their largest military installation. Show them the futility of resistance." As the Imperial fleet moved closer to Earth, they remained unaware that every move they made was being carefully tracked. Behind Earth's false panic, a unified defense grid was powering up. Hidden technologies, developed from the crashed scout ship and improved by human innovation, were about to reveal themselves. "They're in optimal range," Captain Doyon reported. General Hunjin took a deep breath. Humanity's fate rested on what would happen in the next few minutes. "End the charade," she ordered. "Send the message." Suddenly, all Earth communications went silent. The confused chatter and pleas for mercy stopped instantly. After 30 seconds of complete silence, a single message broadcast on all frequencies. "You have entered restricted space. You were warned. Humanity stands united." Admiral Juno frowned as Earth's chaotic communications suddenly ceased. Something about this didn't feel right. He had conquered 17 worlds, and none had ever gone silent like this. "Why did they stop broadcasting?" he asked. Officer Minja shrugged. "Perhaps they're discussing surrender terms among themselves. Or they're frightened into silence," suggested Juwu. "Primitive species often freeze when faced with superior power." Admiral Chunho wasn't convinced, but he continued with the invasion plan. The fleet spread out in standard formation, preparing to establish orbital dominance before landing troops. "Sir," called the sensor operator, "I'm detecting unusual energy readings from their moon." "Their moon?" Chunho walked to the sensor station. "Show me." The display showed small energy spikes coming from the dark side of Earth's moon. They were faint, but definitely not natural. "Probably their primitive lunar base," Juwu said. "Nothing to worry about." Junho nodded slowly. "Continue the approach. Prepare first wave of landing craft." On Earth, in the underground command center, General Hunjin watched the Doran fleet's movements with careful eyes. Everything depended on timing now. "They're taking the bait," she said. "They believe our act." Captain Doyon gestured to a screen showing the positions of Earth's hidden defense platforms. Thousands of small dots surrounded the approaching alien fleet, all still cloaked and undetectable to Doran sensors. "Defense grid is at 100% power," he reported. "Gravitational weapons are ready. Shield systems are online." Hyunjin nodded. "And the lunar batteries?" "Charged and waiting for your order. The small energy leaks we allowed them to detect are drawing their attention exactly as planned." Around the room, military officers from every nation on Earth watched in tense silence. Some had been enemies just decades ago. Now they worked side by side. Humanity's last defense against an enemy that thought victory was already theirs. "Now we see if all our preparation was enough," Hunjin said quietly. Back on the Doran flagship, Admiral Juno received reports from his advanced scout ships. "Earth's militaries are mobilizing, sir, but in completely uncoordinated ways. Some are hiding. Others are moving to defend random locations. They appear to have no central command." Junho laughed. "As expected. Begin jamming all their communications. Cut them off from each other completely." "Yes, Admiral," Minja replied, activating the powerful jamming system. But to the Doran's surprise, Earth's primitive communications continued functioning despite the jamming. "Impossible," muttered the communications officer. "Their technology shouldn't be able to resist our jammers." Chunho felt the first real stirring of concern. "Increase jamming power. Use all frequencies." As the Dorans puzzled over their jamming failure, they didn't realize they were following a script written years ago by Earth's defense planners. The humans had studied the crashed scout ship's communication systems and developed countermeasures specifically designed to make the Dorans waste power and reveal their electronic warfare capabilities. In orbit around Earth, President Kumho of the United Earth Council sat in his disguised command shuttle. To Doran sensors, it appeared to be just another piece of space junk. "General Tunjin," he said through the secure quantum communication link, "the fleet is now fully within our defensive sphere. Are you ready?" "Yes, Mr. President. All systems are green. Waiting for your authorization." President Kyungo thought of the billions of people holding their breath on the planet below. For 20 years, Earth had maintained the deception that humans were divided and technologically backward. They had hidden their true advances, developed in secret underground facilities. They had prepared while appearing unprepared. "You have my authorization," he said firmly. "Defend Earth." In the underground command center, General Hunjin turned to her communications officer. "Send the message." Across all frequencies, in every language spoken by humans, a single message replaced the panicked chatter that had filled the airwaves. "You have entered restricted space. You were warned. Humanity stands united." On the Doran flagship, Admiral Juno felt a chill run down his spine as the message played. Something was very wrong. "Full scan of the system. Now," he ordered, but it was too late. As Science Officer Juwu began the scan, her eyes widened in shock. "Admiral, I'm detecting thousands of previously hidden objects surrounding our fleet." "What?" Juno rushed to the main view screen just as the first of Earth's defense platforms decloaked. They weren't the primitive satellites the Dorans had detected earlier. These were sleek, advanced weapons platforms that no pre-FTL civilization should possess. "We've been deceived," Junho whispered as the truth dawned on him. All this time, they were just pretending to be primitive. Around the Doran fleet, thousands of Earth defense platforms shimmered into visibility, their weapons already locked on target. Admiral Juno stared at the main screen in shock as thousands of Earth defense platforms appeared around his fleet. This was impossible. Earth was supposed to be a pre-FTL civilization with primitive technology, but the sleek, angular platforms surrounding his ships looked more advanced than anything in the Doran arsenal. "How did we miss this?" he demanded, slamming his fist on the command console. Science Officer Juwu's fingers flew across her control panel. "They must have some kind of cloaking technology we can't detect. These platforms were here all along." On the view screen, the nearest platform opened like a metal flower, revealing a dark central core that began to glow with blue-white energy. "Evasive action," Shunho shouted. "All ships, battle formation." The Imperial fleet began to move, but with an unusual sluggishness. Throughout the command deck, warning lights flashed. "Something's affecting our engines," reported the chief engineer through the comm system. "Power output dropping by 30%. Juwu's face had gone pale as she studied her readings. "Admiral, I'm detecting gravity distortions around our ships. They're creating localized fields that are slowing us down." "Impossible," Junho whispered. "That technology is theoretical even for us." In Earth's hidden command center, General Hunjin watched the alien fleet's movements slow on her tactical display. The gravity net was working perfectly. "They're trapped," she announced to her officers. "Gravitational containment at 85% efficiency." Captain Doyeon nodded with satisfaction. "Their engines can't overcome our gravity fields, just as we predicted from studying their scout ship." On the main screen, they could see the Doran vessels struggling against invisible forces, unable to achieve the speeds needed for effective combat maneuvers. Some of the smaller ships were already completely immobilized. "Open communication with their flagship," Hyunjin ordered. Admiral Chunho was about to order his ships to fire when a human face appeared on his view screen. It was a woman with calm eyes and a stern expression. She wore a simple dark uniform with no visible rank insignia. "Doran Fleet," she said in perfect Imperial standard, shocking everyone on the command deck. "I am General Kunjin of United Earth Defense. Your invasion has failed before it began." Junho struggled to maintain his composure. "How are you speaking our language? How do you know who we are?" The human smiled slightly. "Did you think yours was the first Doran ship to reach Earth?" A chill ran down Junho's spine as understanding dawned. "The missing scout vessels." "Yes," Hyunjin confirmed. 3 of your scout ships crashed on our world over the past 60 years. We learned everything about your empire, your technology, and your conquest protocols. We've been preparing for this day while deliberately appearing primitive and divided." Science Officer Juwu interrupted urgently. "Admiral, they're powering up weapons systems. Energy signatures unlike anything in our database. On Earth, President Kung Ho watched the exchange from his orbital command shuttle. The deception had worked perfectly. The Dorans had fallen into their trap, believing humans to be an easy conquest. Now it was time to show them the truth. General Kunjin, he said through his secure channel, proceed with Phase 3. In the command center, Hyunjin nodded. Yes, Mr. President. She turned to her weapons officer. Target their outer defensive ships first. Minimum force demonstration. Across the solar system, Earth's defense platforms locked onto their targets. The technology derived from crashed Doran ships had been improved by human innovation, creating weapons that the invaders couldn't even comprehend. On the Doran flagship, Admiral Juno watched in horror as beams of concentrated energy lanced out from the nearest platforms, striking 20 of his outer ships simultaneously. The vessel's shields flickered and failed in seconds. Rather than destroying the ships completely, the beams precisely disabled their weapon systems and engines. What kind of weapons are those? Minjae asked, his voice shaking. Jiwoo shook her head in disbelief. They're using directed quantum disruption. It's a technology our scientists theorized but could never develop. It targets specific systems while leaving the rest intact. General Hyunjin's face reappeared on the view screen. That was a demonstration, Admiral Juno. We could have destroyed those ships completely, but that is not our way. We defend. We do not conquer. Behind her, Juno could see humans of different appearances working together at various stations. There was no sign of the division and conflict that Imperial intelligence had reported. You tricked us, Juno said bitterly. You made us believe you were weak. We showed you what you expected to see, Hyunjin corrected. Your empire's arrogance did the rest. Now you face a choice. Retreat or be destroyed. As if to emphasize her point, the remaining defense platforms powered up their weapons, bathing the trapped Doran fleet in targeting lights. Shunho looked around at his crew, seeing fear in their eyes for the first time in his career. The humans had outmaneuvered them completely, using the Doran's own tactics against them. The revelation was clear. They had greatly underestimated Earth. Admiral Juno faced the most difficult decision of his military career. His fleet was trapped in Earth's gravity net, surrounded by weapons of unexpected power. He had two choices, surrender or fight. We are the Doran Empire, he said, straightening his back. We do not surrender to lesser species. Minja looked at him with wide eyes. Admiral, their technology is stolen from us, Juno interrupted. They've had lucky accidents, nothing more. All ships prepare to fire main cannons. Target their largest platforms first. On the view screen, General Hyunjin shook her head sadly. You've made your choice then. We offered peace. The communication cut off. For a moment, there was silence on the bridge of the Eternal Dominance. Sir, Jiwoo said quietly, I strongly advise against this course of action. Their technology appears to be more advanced than. Fire, Juno shouted, cutting her off. 300 Doran warships fired their main cannons simultaneously. Beams of destructive energy lanced out toward Earth's defense platforms. The command crew held their breath, expecting to see explosions as the human defenses crumbled. Instead, something extraordinary happened. Around each platform, the space itself seemed to ripple. The Doran energy beams bent and twisted, missing their targets completely. Impossible, Junho whispered. Jiwoo stared at her readings in disbelief. They're using some kind of localized space-time distortion field. Our weapons can't reach them. In the Earth Command Center, General Hyunjin watched the failed Doran attack with a grim expression. She had hoped they would choose retreat. They've made their decision, she said. Begin the counterattack. Remember our protocols. Minimal loss of life where possible. Captain Doyeon nodded. Yes, General. Relativistic defense system engaging. Across the solar system, Earth's platforms changed configuration. The blue-white energy in their cores shifted to a deep purple. On the Doran flagship, alarms blared as sensors detected the change. New energy signatures. Jiwoo called out. Nothing like their previous weapons. Before Juno could respond, the first wave of Earth's attack struck. But instead of energy beams, small objects, no larger than a human fist, accelerated to near light speed, struck 50 Doran ships simultaneously. The objects passed through shields as if they weren't there, punching clean holes through engine sections and weapon emplacements. Within seconds, 50 Doran warships had been disabled, their engines and weapons precisely destroyed while crew compartments remained intact. What was that? Junho demanded, gripping his command chair as his flagship shuddered. Relativistic kill vehicles, Ju explained, her voice shaking. Tiny projectiles accelerated to near light speed. No shield can stop them, and their targeting is precise to the meter. Another wave hit, disabling 50 more ships. Perfectly aimed projectiles destroyed weapons and engines while avoiding crew areas. They could kill us all, Minji realized. They're choosing not to. In her command center, Hyunjin monitored the attack carefully. Status report. 100 Doran vessels disabled, reported the weapons officer. No significant loss of life detected. Their shields are useless against our RKVs. And our casualties? None, General. They still can't penetrate our defensive fields. On the view screen, Admiral Chunho's face appeared. His composure had cracked, showing fear and confusion. This is impossible, he said. No pre-FTL civilization can develop this technology on their own. We didn't, Hyunjin replied honestly. We learned from your crashed ships, then improved what we found. Human innovation combined with Doran technology created something new. As she spoke, another wave of relativistic projectiles disabled 50 more Doran ships. Now 2/3 of the mighty invasion fleet floated helplessly in space. You could have killed us, Junho said, understanding finally dawning. Why didn't you? Because that's the difference between us, Hyunjin explained. You came to conquer, we only wish to defend. We have no desire for needless death. President Kyungho's voice came through on the secure channel. General, it's time for the final phase. Hyunjin nodded. Yes, sir. She turned back to the communication with Chunho. Admiral, we will disable the remaining ships in your fleet except for your own. Your vessel will be partially disabled, but left with enough power to return to Doran space with our message. Junho stared at her, his empire's military might crumbling around him. What message? That Earth is not for conquering, Hyunjin said firmly. That humanity stands united, and that we prefer peace, but we are prepared for war if necessary. The final wave of Earth's attack began, precisely targeting the remaining Doran ships. Within minutes, all but the flagship had been neutralized. The mighty 7th Armada, pride of the Doran Empire, had been defeated in less than 10 minutes without a single human casualty. Admiral Junho sat in stunned silence as he realized that his military career, and perhaps the Doran Empire's age of conquest, had come to an end. The once mighty Doran flagship Eternal Dominance drifted in space, surrounded by the disabled hulks of what had been the 7th Imperial Armada. Only minimal systems remained functional: life support, basic propulsion, and communications. Admiral Junho stood at the view screen, looking at the small blue planet that had brought such humiliation to the Empire. A small Earth vessel approached his crippled flagship, unlike the primitive shuttles the Dorans had expected to find. This craft moved with impossible grace, its hull gleaming with technology that shouldn't exist on a pre-FTL world. They're requesting permission to dock, Admiral, Minji reported, his voice subdued. Junho nodded silently. What choice did they have? The Earth ship connected to their main airlock. Security footage showed 3 humans entering the Doran vessel, 2 men and 1 woman. They wore simple uniforms with no weapons visible. The woman was General Hyunjin, who had spoken to them during the battle. The humans made their way to the bridge without needing directions, another sign they had studied Doran ship designs thoroughly. When the bridge doors slid open, the command crew turned to face their conquerors. The humans entered calmly, showing neither fear nor arrogance. "Admiral Chuno," Hyunjin said with a respectful nod. "I am General Hyunjin. This is President Kyungho of the United Earth Council and Captain Doyun, my second-in-command." Chunho straightened his back. Even in defeat, he would maintain his dignity. "You have defeated us through deception and stolen technology. What do you want now?" President Kyungho stepped forward. He was older than the others, with gray in his hair and lines around his eyes that spoke of wisdom and experience. "We want what we have always wanted, Admiral, to live in peace." "You destroyed 300 warships," Juno replied bitterly. "We disabled 300 warships," Doyun corrected. "Your crews are alive. We could have killed them all." Hyunjin held up a small data crystal. "This contains our message to your Emperor. Your ship has been left with enough power to return to Doran space. You will deliver this message personally." Chunho took the crystal reluctantly. "What does it say?" "The truth," Kyungho said simply. "That Earth detected your scout ships years ago. That we recovered the crashed vessels and studied your technology. That we united our planet in secret while maintaining the appearance of division. And most importantly," Hyunjin added, "that we have no interest in conquest or war. We seek only to protect ourselves and to explore the stars in peace." Doyun stepped forward with another device, larger than the crystal. "This contains detailed scans of what happened here today. Your empire will see exactly how we defeated your fleet and how we could have destroyed it completely had we chosen to." Chunho took the device, his hands shaking slightly. "The Emperor will never accept this humiliation. He will send more ships." Kyungho smiled sadly. "We have already mapped the locations of your nearest military bases using the data from your ships. We have deployed automated defense platforms throughout this solar system. Any Doran ship entering our space will meet the same fate as yours. But," Hyunjin added, "we are also sending coordinates for neutral space where diplomatic vessels can safely meet, should your Emperor wish to establish peaceful relations." The three humans turned to leave, but Chunho called after them. "Wait, there's something I don't understand. If you had this technology, why didn't you reveal yourselves sooner? Why pretend to be primitive?" Kyungho looked back at him. "Because we were learning. About you, about the galaxy, about ourselves. Humanity needed time to unite, to understand what kind of interstellar civilization we wish to become." "And what is that?" Chunho asked. "Not conquerors," Hyunjin answered firmly. "Not like the Doran Empire. We will defend ourselves without hesitation, but we have no desire to rule others." After the humans left, the Eternal Dominance's engines powered up automatically, just enough to set a course back to Doran space. As Earth grew smaller in the view screen, Chunho clutched the data crystal containing humanity's message. 3 weeks later, he stood before Emperor Teo in a great throne room of the Imperial Palace. Thousands of court officials and military leaders had gathered to hear his report. With shaking hands, he inserted the crystal into the central projector. The assembled Dorans watched in stunned silence as images of their fleet's defeat played out before them. They saw Earth's advanced technology, the precision of the attack, and the mercy shown to Doran crews. When the presentation ended, Emperor Teo's face was ashen. "This changes everything," he whispered. In the weeks that followed, the Doran Empire redrew its maps, marking Earth and the surrounding systems as forbidden territory. For the first time in 2,000 years, the Empire had encountered a species that could not only resist them but utterly defeat them. And in the skies above Earth, humanity prepared its first true starships, ready to venture into the galaxy not as conquerors, but as explorers, powerful, united, and free.